What is going on, guys? It's MrBabyHandsome, and this is my Demonic Gorillas guide. They're a great place for training some PvM skill sets, specifically gear switches and prayer switches. You can unlock them after completing Monkey Madness 2, and you can also kill them on task if you have black demons or monkeys, but it's not needed. But I would highly recommend grabbing a Slayer task, as the Slayer helm will significantly increase the amount of kills you can get per hour. Currently, it's about 2.5 mil GP profit per hour here, specifically because of the Zenyte shards. And if we look at the collection log, we do have a log tab here called Glows Experiments, and you can get the Zenyte shard as well as the different components to the light and heavy ballistas. And yeah, just jumping straight into things, you want to bring in your best in slot melee gear. I'm just using Bandos and an arc light, and then also have a swap into a range gear setup for my Bofa, but you can use whatever is best in slot for you in your bank. And then I'm also bringing in an SGS for its spec that has prayer and health restore, as well as a light bearer for that additional spec restore. And then my inventory setup is just Divine Ranging Pot, Divine Super Combat, the rest food, some Super Restores, I teleport to my house to recharge my stats and bank, and then a Royal Seed Pod to head back to the Grand Tree. And to start things off, we just want to head southwest to get over to the Gorillas cave entrance. And like I said, you do need to have Monkey Madness 2 complete to have access to this area, so make sure you get that quest out of the way. And Demonic Gorillas are probably one of the best areas to train these gear switches and prayer switches. First thing I would recommend before you enter into this cavern is to just practice your switches in your inventory. So for me, I got a pretty big switch, so I'm going to be swapping into, let's see, here's 3. It's going to be 6 to 7 way switches here, depending on if I'm in my melee or range gear. And you're just going to be practicing it here in your inventory like so. Get it down, try and figure out what's the most comfortable setup. Some people like doing it vertical like this. Some people like doing it horizontal like this. Just figure out whatever is your favorite method. And yeah, just sit here and get it down until you can get a pretty comfortable switch. You should be making quite a bit of mistakes at the start when you're first learning switching. That's totally fine. But after that, you'll get in the rhythm of it. And if you don't really want to have a full switch here, you just want to practice the Demonic Gorillas, then what you can do is throw on range bottoms, keep on your melee top. You can bank these two, and you can also bank your boots and just keep on your melee boots. And this should just leave you into a 3 and 4 way switch, which is a lot easier. But for the most part, I would highly recommend trying out the full way switch, as overall you're just going to be practicing this for future PvM experiences. But without further ado, let's jump into the cavern and show you guys some prayer switches and how to kill the Demonic Gorillas. First things first, you want to head east and then north and then west to enter into this little area where we can fight them. And right off the bat, you're going to notice that Demonic Gorillas do have overhead prayers. So before we get into fighting them, I'm going to show you guys how to take minimal damage from them. First of all, they're going to have 3 separate attacks: Mage, Range, and Melee. And they're going to switch their attack styles every 3 0 hit splats. So whenever you see 3 0 hit splats and they say raw above their head, then that means they're going to change their attack style. So here we have a raw. We can tell that it's going to be melee because they started walking towards us. So we got 3 melee hits here that we can tank before it's going to swap its next attack style. There we go. Now we can guess it's either going to be mage or range. So it was range there. So we did take a bit of damage off that first hit. We can take another tanking of 3 hits before they switch over. And I typically like to hover over a mage or range and then just do melee whenever I see that it's going to be a melee attack. But yeah, let's just jump into attacking them and then also incorporating the prayer switches. First of all, let's go pot up. You're also going to notice these little boulders are going to drop periodically. Don't really worry about those. You can just step to the side and you're totally fine. Here we're swapping into our range setup. Now they're praying range, swap into our melee setup. There goes the raw. We're going to swap into mage prayer. Ended up being melee. Now we got to swap back, change our setup as well. They're swapping theirs. We got to swap ours. On rigor. And there we go. That's essentially what a kill is going to look like. Whenever you see that first attack, make sure you're protecting against it. Whenever they swap into the next prayer, you swap as well. Whenever you see that raw, you also can swap over your prayer. And that's essentially it for demonic gorillas. Hope you guys learned how to fight these monsters. And yeah, the loot here is awesome. You're going to be getting a ton of rune drops. So for irons, it's a great place to get a nice cash stack as well as grind for that Zenyte jewelry. It's currently 1 in 300 drop rate for the Zenyte jewelry. So hope you guys get lucky. And that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I love you guys. Peace out.